All right, so that goes on for a while. And unfortunately, we don't have the soundtrack of what he's saying. That's from the National Archives collection. Hi, I'm Skip Elsheimer. Welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime Streaming Show, where we watch old 16mm films. And yeah, so as I said, that was from the National Archives. We've been working with some of their films, files, etc. So, yeah, I'm very tired. I had to take my wife to the airport very early this morning, and so I'm on 3 cups of coffee, and it's not really clicking. Plus, it's gray outside. Let's watch a Warner Brothers cartoon, which was made for the U.S. Air Force and is very similar to another film called 90 Day Wandering, which is a Warner Brothers film made for the Army. So this is very similar, except that Ralph is not in it. This is another character. Do you remember Ralph from the Chuck Jones cartoons? Well, he shows up actually in an Army animated film about re-enlisting or re-upping. So here's a Hitch in Time. Enjoy.
This is John McRoger, Airman First Class. That blissful smile on John's face is because John has reached the end of his first hitch, and John is getting out. He is now contemplating the advantages that all civilians take for granted. Like a solid gold Jagalite, a penthouse overlooking the river, a good job, and a beautiful wife.
And 2 pence to send home to me wife, poor wife. No cares have I to grieve me, no pretty little girl to deceive me.
Uh-oh, here it comes, the message.
Me as we go rolling, hi Mac, rolling home. Name is Grogan, technical gremlin, first class.
Yeah, I know, and you're here to show me why I should re-enlist. About all the multitudinous advantages accruing to the re-enlistee.
Look, friend, I don't know what all this sarcasm is about, but I'm getting out of this man's Air Force. Capital O, capital U, capital T. Out!
Hey, you getting out too? Wait, that's different. Let's pick up our discharge papers together, buddy.
Are you kidding? Why, the minute they start talking to you, you'll go all soft and sign up again.
But
No buts. Sit down.
Honest, I've been dreaming about getting out ever since I got in.
All these guys are the same. Pushovers. Wild blue yonder pushovers. I don't know why I'm so soft-headed, but I guess I've got to brief this character so he won't be a patsy and get talked back in. These GI magic wands, always fouled up. Later. Now then, the first thing they're gonna try to do, they're gonna try to tell you how much better off you'll be staying in the Air Force. Okay, just for the record, let's take a look. The average veteran of your age is earning about $325 a month in civilian life. Do you realize that's about 40% more than you make, Mac?
Why, that's an outrage. That's...
Of course, to be perfectly fair, the civilian does have to make certain minor deductions from his paycheck that you don't. Like food, lodging, clothes, higher income taxes, medical and dental bills. Minor deductions like that there. Well, it only amounts to about $275 a month.
Only.
Another thing I forgot to mention was that an airman can increase the size of his check by seniority, advancement in rank, allowances, overseas duty, flying duty, and proficiency pay. And you will get several times your monthly base pay as a bonus for your first re-enlistment. But the civilian still gets more money.
Sure. And anyway, the money isn't the important thing, is it, Grogan? It's the job that counts.
Brother, you are so right there.
Today we find John McRoger, apprentice drill press operator, happily at work.
Hey, Mac, there you are.
I don't know, Grogan. It just doesn't seem quite what I want to do.
Look, pal, you can't back out now. Why, now you take retirement. Do you realize that as a civilian, you could look forward to retiring at the age of 65 with a cool $125 coming in from Social Security every month?
Yeah? Well, in the Air Force, I can retire when I'm 38 and draw down more than that for the rest of my life.
What are you, a has-been or something? Where do they get off retiring you at 38? It's an imposition.
Some imposition. Okay, I decide I don't want to be imposed on. I decide I'm going to stay in another 10 years, till I'm 48. Then they really impose on you. I'll get over twice as much as a civilian on Social Security and get it 17 years sooner. And Grogan, I've already got 4 years start.
Well, you could retire on that kind of dough as a civilian, too.
Oh, absolutely. All I gotta do is I gotta save up about $90,000 and put it out at a good rate of interest. A cinch.
All right, yeah, I know. You say 50 or 60 bucks a week for 30 years. Okay, so it's ridiculous. I'll admit there's a few good things about the Air Force.
Like 30-day vacations every year with pay.
And medical expenses?
And family allowances. And housing.
And a chance to travel?
And don't forget the technical training and educational opportunities.
And most important, Mac, like you said before, it's the job that counts. Us Air Force guys have the most important job in the world. We're the ones who keep these beautiful birds flying. These beautiful birds that fly all over the world, long distances and short, on patrol, protecting our country. Our country depends on us, even though most civilians don't realize what we're doing. But we know, don't we, Mac?
We sure do, Grogan. Unsung, but proud. Let's get going.
Yeah, I guess we both know what you want to do now, right?
Right.
Hey, wait, buddy. If you think you can get by in the Air Force without me, you got yourself another think coming. We got important work to do.
Yeah, so Mel Blanc did all the voices for that. And there is a gremlin that shows up in some Warner Brothers cartoons that doesn't look like that. And that looks like the ferry, the private first class ferry that shows up in, I believe, some private snafu cartoons. So there's a history there of Warner Brothers and doing things for the U.S. government and armed forces. So there you go. This film is As the City Sleeps. Enjoy. This is from our propaganda branch of our U.S. government, the U.S. Information Services. So this was meant to be shown outside the United States to talk about how great the United States is, probably in the 60s, early 60s. Enjoy.
It's kind of early for a load of artichokes to be getting in. Those guys must have made good time coming in from the valley. Looks like the market's going to be busy tonight. I'm glad I decided to walk to work tonight. It's a good night for it. That fresh air feels good. San Francisco always looks swell from up here. There's 1 million people asleep down there now. They probably wouldn't like to work at night. They probably don't know about guys like me who are awake and just going to work. The city's sure growing. I can remember when a lot of those houses weren't there. I guess it's because San Francisco is such a big seaport, one of the biggest in the United States. Biggest on the West Coast, anyway. There's new businesses and factories moving in all the time, and ships moving out all the time, to places like Manila or Singapore, or maybe Australia. Funny thing, I've lived all my life right here between the Pacific Ocean and San Francisco Bay, and I've never been to sea. Yeah, it's a fine night, all right, but I'd better get to work. The wholesale produce market. It's not too busy yet. The trucks are just beginning to roll in. The whole market's only about 4 or 5 city blocks square. To see it at this time of night, you'd hardly know what a big job goes on down here to get fresh food into the city. And people just take it for granted. They never stop to think how their food gets there. Takes a lot of food to feed 1 million people. Thousands of tons of fruit and vegetables every day. Most of it comes in here the night before, and all of it gets handled by a few hundred people. People like lumpers to unload it off the trucks, porters to move it off the curb, people to buy it and people to sell it. It takes a lot of teamwork to run the market. Each wholesale house has a floor manager like Charlie here to keep track of the shipments and to tell us what he wants done next. Me, I'm a lumper. A lumper's a guy who unloads the produce off the trucks. During the night, I work different places, depending on where the trucks have to be unloaded. But I usually start out at the house where my friend Al, the porter, works. Say hello, find out what's new. Of course, no matter how early you come in, there's always some trucker in early to beat the rush.
Hey, Elmer! You working in this market or ain't you? Come on, I ain't got all night.
Ah, keep your shirt on. Al and I have worked together for years. He likes his job and I like mine. Nobody's watching over us to see how we do our job. We know what has to be done and we do it. It takes more than muscle to move produce all night. You've got to know how. The old-timers know the best ways to lift and handle crates of food and how to work together. Sometimes a load comes in that has to be moved into the house right away. When that happens, the porters have to keep moving, and they beef when they have to wait for a stack of crates. So it's fun once in a while to get together with the trucker and stack up the crates so fast that the porter gets so busy moving the stuff in, he doesn't realize that half the market's laughing at him. Looks like this is Al's night for it. Good old Al. Nick's coffee shop is a kind of club for the guys who work in the market. Almost everybody stops in here sometime during the night. It's a good place for a quick game of checkers, and the guys who play can count on plenty of free advice. Of course, the main reason for going to Nick's is the coffee. It comes strong and hot. Everybody likes to relax and talk a little. Nick's in a good spot to pick up all the market gossip. He's always ready to help settle an argument. There's no special time set up for us to break off work for coffee. Guy has to grab a quick cup whenever he can. After lumping produce for a while, it's good just to sit down for a minute or two, take the load off your feet. Usually I find myself thinking about the family, maybe how we'll spend the weekend. It's only a couple of weeks now until the fishing season opens up. Man, I can hardly wait to go up to the mountains and hook into a few trout. I think I'll take my boy along this year. He's old enough. He'd get a big kick out of it. By the time Al and I get back from coffee, Charlie's got plenty of work lined up for us. The market's really getting busy. Right at this one house, several trucks are waiting to be unloaded. All over the market, in wholesale houses like this one, truck after truck comes rolling in. Strawberries, tomatoes, asparagus, grapefruit, carrots, melons, crate after crate all night long. As fast as the lumpers can get the food unloaded, each shipment has to be sorted out by the porters. It has to be weighed and graded so the right price can be put on it. The floormen are experts at figuring the price of a shipment just by looking at a few samples. It takes an expert to set a price high enough to make a profit and still low enough to meet the competition, so the food will sell fast. It's daylight by the time the last truck is unloaded, and a lumper knows by then he's done a good night's work. 60,000 pounds a night, 5 nights a week. That's my average, and I don't mind saying I'm proud of it. Now the market is jam-packed with fresh fruits and vegetables. And even before the day has really begun, the retail dealers are in to take it to the neighborhood markets and stores.
Put my sample now up here. Better move the place. You want to move the truck?
About the time I'm finished with my job, the rest of the people in San Francisco are just starting on the way to their jobs. Sometimes on the way home, I feel like I've been feeding the whole city single-handed. I like to walk through the morning crowds. They don't know me, but I feel like I've been doing something important for them. And I guess some of the other guys feel the same way.
Hey, Elmer!
Walking home from work is all right, but after a night in the market, I could use a lift home. I'm kind of glad Charlie came along. He goes out my way. Charlie's a trout fisherman, too. I remember once in the days we used to take the streetcar together. We got talking trout fishing so hard, I forgot to get off at my stop. The guys who work right in the wholesale market get to like fresh fruit and vegetables. Charlie had some of the first melons of the season picked out. Nice of him to give me one. Nothing tastes better for breakfast than a good melon. Charlie's a good guy, always doing something like that. Yes, sir, there's nothing like getting home from a good night's work. Coming up your own street, looking forward to a good hot meal and a hot bath, a chance to relax and talk to the wife, and especially no more stuff to lift. Did I say no more stuff to lift? Yes, sir. 60,000 pounds a night.
So yeah, that's just a pro-USA piece. And it was shown in other countries, and it was showing like, hey, this is what the working man does, and this is what his life is like, and this is what it's like to be in an American city. And, creates this idyllic view of the United States at the time. All right. This is a great film about nutrition and about the Head Start program. Almost everything I'm showing today is from the National Archives, by the way. So there you go. This is Jenny is a Good Thing. Enjoy.
What we have here? A long paw with a whole stomach full of peas. We can open it up now and see what's inside. Peas. Oh, what color are they? White. why with so many little peas would be in a long shell. Is this the way it grows out here, like?
Yeah.
Sure, that's the way it grows. Now, is it round or is it flat? Oh, the pea is round. Tell me, do it feel soft or hard?
No.
Soft. How many does Dana have in her hand? Look.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Is they sour or is they bitter? How does it really taste?
Some are outgoing, some are shy. All are children, 3, 4, and 5 years old. They come from city ghettos, rural shacks, Indian pueblos. The experiences they bring with them are not the experiences of the privileged. These are poverty's children. But like all children, privileged and poor, they hold promise and potential. Head Start recognizes that promise and seeks to develop that potential. Nutrition plays a major role in the Head Start program. It's an integral part of the daily activities. Many children come to the center without breakfast. They can have it here, where nutrition is more than just eating. It is learning, finding out that food can be fun. The fun of preparing it, the fun of a new experience shared with others, the fun of discovering what and why and how.
My name is Johnny.
And where do you live?
In a great big apartment house.
What's your address?
Nutrition and all activities at the center try to improve the child's concept of himself. Give him a healthy image that is not twisted by poverty. How a child feels about himself is how he feels friends and community. He's loving if he knows that he's loved. He's proud if he's treated with dignity. He grows if he's given encouragement and opportunity. At the center, the child learns that he's an important person. Nutrition activities, like snack time, add to the child's knowledge and skills and build his self-image.
What is cantaloupe? Is it fruit?
Through food, he learns new words and colors. He learns concepts of size and shape and texture.
Now we cut it all the way around. You were right. It is orange.
What does he really see? How does it smell? Is it rough or smooth to touch? Soft or hard? Is it good to taste? Food can waken his senses and his curiosity. He doesn't reach for fruit instead of candy because he knows that fruit is more nutritious, but because he has enjoyed it fully. It has meaning for him beyond just eating. A chunk of yeast dough is food. It can be baked into bread, but it can also be poked and squeezed and pounded and rolled and stamped and, and even sculpted. And it can be something from which you create something of your very own. A chunk of dough can be many things. Maybe only one child's small success. But small successes make head start. A good program doesn't depend on elaborate facilities. It depends on ingenuity. In this old and cramped kitchen, delicious hot lunches are prepared each day for over 75 children. It depends on courage. This center came from a poor Negro woman who wanted to help the children of her community. She begged on the streets until she had enough money to buy a land and a building. Then peer-in volunteers sawed and hammered, scrubbed and painted. A nearby auto dump supplied playground materials. And some of the land was saved for a garden where the children could plant, dig, weed, and grow. Here each child has his own water pail, placed at a level he can easily reach. With projects like this garden, the child learns about food through direct involvement. At Head Start, learning is an adventure. There is much for the child to explore in the world of food. Field trips can show him the relationship between the food he eats and how it is raised, harvested, marketed, and prepared. He can help to grow greens for a salad, or help choose them at the market. He can make a salad. He can learn to handle new utensils. Or rely on his own, more basic method. Through related experiences, the child begins to understand the logic of the world around him and feel his own importance in it. Arranging and setting a table is a social experience and a personal accomplishment. Head Start brings children and food together happily. At the center, each child gets at least one hot meal that gives him a good share of his nutritive needs for the day. The children eat family style, each serving himself and helping to serve others. Bread is quartered, meat and vegetables cut into manageable sizes. Teachers and aides sit at the level of the children, eating with them, helping them to identify foods. Meals are attractive and the environment is relaxed. Children aren't punished for not eating. And if a new food is introduced, they're not forced, but encouraged to taste it. Individual cultures and regional backgrounds are preserved, even in the child's diet. Meals include those foods that have long been familiar to him and his family. Mutton stew and a large chunk of traditional Indian bread make a delicious and balanced meal. So do pinto beans, tortillas, and squash. The food and the atmosphere at the center influences the food choices and the mealtime atmosphere in the home. Twice each week, a Head Start parent eats with the children as their guest.
And eating with the children, and I enjoy eating with my own children at home. I guess I'm a little old-fashioned, but I used to believe in eating and being quiet. And I've learned from them that you're supposed to talk at the table. And I enjoy eating with them to hear what they have to say. And they have learned to eat new foods that I thought that they wouldn't eat, and so do they. And now we all eat, and we enjoy raw vegetables and fruit and different meats.
What the children learn here at the table, they learn informally and by example. And here you don't have to clean your plate to get dessert. Good food habits set in the early years lay the foundation for later life. And good food habits include responsibilities, brushing teeth after meals, helping to clean up, a full participation that builds confidence and self-respect. For whatever the region, race, or culture, these children are, above all, individuals. They have a claim on the future, and they have a right to be healthy children. A well-nourished child has a better chance to grow, to learn, to look and feel better, to have more energy for work and play. A child who's fed when he's hungry feels cared for secure. Nutrition, like every part of Head Start, works to break down poverty's most corrosive effect, believing you are less than what you are. These children must learn that they are good because they exist. They must know they belong to a society that cherishes their existence. Head Start is not an end to the problems of poverty's children. It is just a chance to have and enjoy a beginning.
Afternoon naps, man. I think I'm going to have to take advantage of that because I am flagging here, very tired. And I'm not going to have a fourth cup of coffee because that's going to be problematic. All right. So this next film, Southern New England, shows things in the 60s. And we had talked about, was it yesterday? We talked about emulsion scratches. This thing looks like somebody just like ran it through sandpaper or something at the beginning. It does clear up eventually, but it was like, whoa. So here we go. Enjoy.
This old shoe factory has been deserted for quite some time now. It would be almost impossible to get it working again. Even then, it wouldn't be very useful, for it would be way out of date. It wasn't the only factory that had to shut down in this area. Ken's grandfather and many others lost their jobs during those hard times. This is the story of how those people of southern New England have won their battle for economic prosperity. Our story begins with the land. When the first settlers came to New England, they found only hills, trees, and rocks instead of fertile land. To make the ground usable as farmland, it first had to be cleared. Every stone in this fence was taken from the soil of the nearby field. The long, cold winters left only 4 or 5 months of the year for farming. However, the region had one valuable feature that the old-timers soon put to work: abundant water. It was easy to use the water for power because of the very hilly countryside. This is an old grist mill that is run by water power. The weight of the water running downhill and falling over the water wheel turns the shaft. Inside the mill, the shaft turns one large stone wheel against another. The grain is poured in between the two stones, where it is ground into flour. grist mills and were the forerunners of many small factories in New England. When this land was first settled, each family had to make most of their own tools and clothing. The women even wove their own cloth. Later on, when towns began to appear, shoemakers and other craftsmen opened their own shops. Each article was made separately. For many years, everything was handmade with very crude tools. Then in the 1880s, these simple tools were replaced by machinery run by water power. It was possible to turn out dozens of pairs of shoes much cheaper and faster than before. New inventions such as the leather rolling and sewing machines helped towns like Lynn and Brockton, Massachusetts, become important shoe manufacturing centers. Talented people like Samuel Slater introduced new machines. His power looms soon replaced the old hand looms. With these machines, large quantities of cotton goods were made much faster and at lower costs. Men and women skilled at working the hand looms learned to run the new power machines. The manufacture of textiles became a very important New England industry. Massachusetts and Rhode Island produced cotton textiles, especially in the mill cities of Fall River, New Bedford, Pawtucket, and Woonsocket. Mill towns such as Lowell and Lawrence grew famous for making woolen textiles and depended mainly on water power. Boston and Providence became great seaports. Here, raw cotton arrived from the south and finished textiles were shipped to many markets. Although most cotton mills used water for power, some used steam. The coal to make the steam with was shipped by boat from Pennsylvania. Nearly everyone who lived in the mill towns depended on the factory for a living. Not only did the mills pay the townspeople their wages, but they often owned the general store as well. Southern New England was a busy and prosperous place to live until after the First World War. A period of hardship for both workers and factory owners began near the end of 1919. Times were so difficult that people had no money for food and had to stand in line through all kinds of weather for relief meals. The manufacturers were located in old-fashioned plants. The cost of improving them was more expensive than building entirely new factories in better locations. For this reason, the shoe and textile industries started moving to other parts of the country where labor was cheaper and taxes lower. The southern Piedmont area of the United States was such a location, and so many industries moved there from New England. The people of New England were left in serious trouble. What could they do about their closing factories and lost jobs? The future looked grim, but the people faced their problems bravely. Towns formed planning committees to attract new industries to their communities. Workers applied their skills and experience to learning new trades. Slowly, these efforts began to show results. New industries came and built plants. To make electrical equipment, machine tools, metal goods, and home appliances. These industries had good reasons for wanting their plants in New England. The same water which once ran grist mills can turn generators to make electricity. Now plants no longer have to be located near water for power. Before the 1920s, most factories also had to be on the railroad line or near a harbor
so that they could receive raw materials and ship out their finished products. Today, because of excellent roads and fast trucks, factories can be located at any spot where it is easy to get workers and raw materials. Finished products can be trucked directly from the factories to the great trading centers of the eastern United States, or taken to ports to be shipped to other parts of the world. The busy ports of Boston and Providence became the transportation centers of New England. Here, raw materials are unloaded and taken to factories to be turned into finished products. The new products are then shipped to busy markets in America and abroad. Most important in this industrial growth were the people themselves. They worked hard to use their intelligence and technical knowledge in new jobs. Industry helped workers to learn new skills. A man who could operate a complicated machine in a shoe factory could quickly learn to run another machine in a precision tool plant. This training was very important during the Second World War, when New England's industries produced weapons for our country's defense. The shipbuilding industries turned out warships like this submarine in New London, Connecticut. Aircraft manufacturing became another of New England's leading industries. Now, much of the nation's scientific research is being done here. Scientists and technicians are needed to fill the many new jobs that have been created by the space age. Much of this specialized education is available right here in New England, where some of the world's most well-known universities and colleges are located. Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Harvard, and Yale are centers of experimentation in space technology. Here, a new satellite is being carefully checked before its journey into space. At MIT, the nature of radioactive materials is being explored. New ways are being developed for the use of these materials in science and industry. This research has helped the development of old and new industries in New England. The many factories along Route 128, just outside of Boston, are examples of New England's recent industrial expansion. Here you can see mile after mile of modern factories and research centers. From this highway of science come ideas that help to keep America growing. The ideas born in research centers come to life in factories and help our country's industries to remain the greatest in the world. Thus we have seen that the history of New England is one of never-ending change. The early settlers found farming difficult because of the rocky land and long winter. They soon turned to shoemaking in factories like this one. Later on, shoe and textile industries could no longer make money. But in time, the people of New England overcame the problems of closing factories and lost jobs. They set out to attract new industry, applied their skills to new kinds of work. These industries are now among the most important in our country. New England's prosperity is still growing. There are plentiful water resources to produce electrical power. Transportation is convenient. And its ocean ports are always busy. Today, New England has come a long way since the early settlers learned how to use water to turn their machines. The ingenuity of the first Yankees is still helping southern New England to grow.
Thank you so much for all the donations for coffee and for showing a heartfelt film makes me feel good. It warms me up on a dreary, cold day where I'm on the verge of falling asleep. Yeah, so that film, like I said at the beginning, it was scratched horribly. And it's possible, and you saw how it cleared up, so it's possible a couple of things happened. One is, it wasn't threaded right. And so it was running through the projector, it was going, and it was rubbing against something that should have been rubbing against. And then they stopped it and they fixed it. Two, there was some horrible clod of dirt that just stuck there and just scraped, and eventually it got clear. And so that's what, it was pretty severe too. You saw it was green and then it was white. So it was pretty harsh scratch there. And there's very little you can do as far as restoration work for something that's, you know, when it takes up like that much of the screen, and, you know, it's like that. You know, you could try to do AI to fix it, but it would just be wrong. It wouldn't look right. And I've tried different tools to try to clean up scratches. There's definitely good tools for cleaning up those base scratches, those thin black lines that we were talking about. But the green ones, they're usually too thick. And then sometimes they actually have a little bit of shadow on the other outside of it too, because what it is it's scraping and then the emulsion is kind of building up a little bit. So then you have to kind of figure out a way to deal with that. And there's frame by frame tools to do it. You can certainly do it in Photoshop, but yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot of scratches. But thanks again for tuning in. We'll be back again tomorrow, Thursday. Everybody have a great rest of your day. And hey, thanks. It was great to see some of you last night on the Found Footage Festival VCR party show. They had me on as a guest. That's available on YouTube. And I showed a couple of clips from my collection. So they were saying, like, oh my God, you've done too many shows. You're doing too much. You're uploading too many videos. It's too much. And I'm like, well, you know, you do what you do. Like, I collect these films to show them. So, and I show them whenever I can in their entirety. Whereas they like to clip down. They don't have the attention spans that we have. So, thanks for those nice shout outs last night. And we will see you tomorrow. Everybody take care. Get some good rest. I'm not going to get up at 6 a.m. To go to the airport. So I will be very, very much rested tomorrow. Take care, everybody.